So we know Ready or Not is coming to consoles, and that's pretty cool. It's not just that it's coming to consoles that's really cool. It's also that there's going to be new maps, well, really old maps that have been updated and brought to the game, but more maps, sign me up. That's great. This game needs more maps. But with these updates, you know, a lot of us are unsatisfied. I say a lot of us, it's really a lot of you. I'm kind of new to the Ready or Not fandom, but I've played and beaten the game once, and I'm going through it again, this time with the Dark Waters DLC to look forward to. But I know that there's been a lot of critiques and criticism of the AI and how it works and a bunch of other stuff. You know, and this game in some ways feels half-baked. What's there that's good is really good, but there's also some stuff in this game that just needs to be fleshed out. So here are 10 things that I would like to see eventually in Ready or Not. And I'm hoping that we do get some of these things sooner rather than later. If there is something that I do not cover or that you think would be really freaking cool to add to this, just drop it below in the comments. Let's get this conversation going. I'm curious to know what you think this game needs, because I really think there's just something interesting here that I haven't seen in any other game, except for the older SWAT games, but you know what I'm saying. I don't know. There's nothing else quite like Ready or Not. Okay, so for number one, we need to bring back multiple mission types per map for multiplayer. I'm not sure if they added this back in or not already at the time of recording this, but I've seen this complaint over and over and over again. And why would you do that? Why would you limit your game? You know, like, I think they did it for story reasons, but come on. I mean, all it does is give players more way to enjoy playing your game. Why would you take that out? So I don't know why they did that. But anyways, that should definitely be back in the game so that, you know, y'all can have more fun with it. And not only should they bring that back, but they should add different mission types as well. Every map should feel totally different depending on the settings you set up for it. You know, and I've said this before, I think in my previous video, this game is like a sandbox game. It just doesn't know it yet. It really is. Yes, it's like a SWAT game. It's a room clearing game. It's a tactical shooter. It's all those things, but it's a sandbox for that, or really it should be. And as we get into more of these wants, more of these hopes, you'll see what I mean. So for my second thing on the list, this kind of ties into the sandbox thing. You should be able to just play every mission you want out of the gate without having to go to multiplayer, without, I don't even know if you can do it in training mode, but here's what you need. You need your career mode. So you need your commander mode. You need your sandbox mode. Okay. Just make them two different modes. In sandbox mode, you can go in, you can play any mission you want in any order you want. You can still do all the things you can do in commander mode, but you have settings that you could mess with. And then, you know, in commander mode, you can do commander mode. So yeah. So I really think they need to add that and kind of have those two things split up, because it's kind of annoying jumping in after a long period of time and wanting to play the Dark Waters DLC and being like, hey, you have to go through the entire game first. But you know, whatever. I love this game. It's given me a reason to go back through it. So let's do it. For number three, flesh out the commander mode. I know they're still working on the game with the DLC and stuff like that, but find ways to flesh out the interaction with people in the environment. Like, I mean, this therapist dude is always sitting over there with his donut and he's telling you to come talk to him. It'd be pretty cool to go talk to him, you know, just small things like that. I feel like in sandbox mode, if you don't care about any of that, you would be able to just kind of jump in, do whatever you want. You have your Ready or Not experience, however you want it. In commander mode, let's flesh it out. Let's get more immersive. As things open up around the police station, it feels like they kind of half-assed it, because it's like, okay, cool. You're adding this evidence to the evidence locker. There's this area where, you know, supposedly fallen cops, you can pay your respects to them. Flesh all that out, you know, make it more interesting. Make the police station just a little something more to do between missions, because, you know, this game is all about those peaks and valleys, right? You have your high tense moments, your shootouts, and then you have a lot of downtime and there's a lot of suspense and tension. And then when you're at the police station, you get your calm. So you kind of get the whole dynamic range there of emotions. And I feel like if they added more stuff to kind of flesh it out there at the station, it could be even better. Not only that, but let's make the officer deaths actually mean something. Maybe add like a little funeral thing, like a cutscene or something. Nothing too crazy. I would like to see more portraits for characters, making them feel different, each officer. I know they added backstories. It'd be great to see more of them instead of seeing them repeat. I would love to see Judge fleshed out a bit more, and just a proper ending to the story. I know there's not much in the way of story here, but there's definitely something going on behind the scenes, and it would be nice to kind of just get some sort of definitive ending, because once you complete the game, you kind of go over to Home Invasion, then Dark Waters. I don't know how Dark Waters goes, but you know, the jump to Home Invasion kind of felt jarring after the mission before it. So yeah, I think we should flesh out Judge. And not only that, but you know, for this commander mode, that's like going all in, maybe in between missions, maybe you go to his apartment or something like that. Little tangent here. I always thought it would be really cool if they took Cyberpunk and the Trauma team in Cyberpunk and made a Ready or Not style game like that. It's where you have if you've played Cyberpunk, you have your apartment and all this ways to interact. But imagine a game where you could be in your apartment, do all those things, and then go out and go to your police station or your Trauma team station in this hypothetical Cyberpunk game and then do Ready or Not style missions. I always thought that would be really cool, something like that. So I think having something like that might be cool. Maybe not. Maybe you disagree. And maybe even allow the game to be played chronologically, maybe in an altered commander mode. I'm asking for a lot here, but I do think that would be pretty freaking sweet. I think it would be kind of jarring going from Thank You Come Again to Neon Tomb, but let us have the option. All right, so for number 4, fix the dang AI. Now, they are adding the ability to change difficulty, I believe. Yeah, that should help, but you know what? There's this great mod that I'm just going to pull up on screen here, but I've been using it to change difficulty throughout maps, and the way I do it is I drag and drop different difficulty settings from this mod author between missions. For the earlier missions, they're easier, and then I kind of have it ramp up and get a lot harder. Just based on kind of what feels immersive for what's happening in the situation. Obviously, in Thank You Come Again, I'm not going to play on the absolute hardest setting with like 40 or 50 people in the convenience store robbing it, because that turns the whole place into a war zone, feels unrealistic. But having some more control over that would be great. Maybe some sliders of some kind, or maybe just from mission to mission, really changing up the way AI acts, the way that me changing these difficulty settings out changes the AI. If they're former military, they should fight like former military. If they're former officers, they should fight like former officers. If they're, some guys holding up a gas station, some thugs, they should fight like thugs. And, take the context of the situation that you're in, because that's what this game's all about, is situational awareness, right? The people that you're fighting in this game should feel like they're really doing what it is that they're there to do. They shouldn't all be super soldiers, but they shouldn't all be Teletubbies either. They should be whatever the game portrays them to be, and they should act accordingly. So anyways, I'm not even saying to make the game easier, harder. I'm saying make it feel more real. Fix the AI. All right, for this next one, more maps. And I know those old ones are coming, they're going to be revamped, but honestly, we can never get enough maps. And I'm hoping this game gets to a point eventually where it just feels like finished, and the mods stop breaking and people actually have interest in doing it again, and we get that amazing SWAT 4 mod map pack updated and back, and hopefully working with all these mods. I'm sure asking for a lot here, but I've had some issues with it, and I haven't wanted to work with something that feels half-baked. Not to discredit the mod author in any way. I know they did an outstanding job, according to a lot of people, but there just seems to be some quirks that don't work with my mods, and that sucks, because I would like to experience those maps. So the more maps, the better. Right now, there are quite a bit of maps. I think there's like 20-something. I think we're in the mid-20s, late 20s, but it'd be nice to have more, especially because some of these could be done super fast. It would just make the game better. This game is a game that benefits from just having more maps, more gear, more people. All right, so here we are. This is something I already kind of touched on earlier, but let's finish the story. Even if it's loosely there, give the game a proper ending. Spoiler alert, other than putting the chicks back into the container. Like, come on. I feel like after the DLC is done, I think they're going to do something. It's just there's this huge, rich world here, and I absolutely love it that it doesn't put it all up there in your face. But I don't know. I want to find out who Judge exactly is, what's going on, and maybe know that for real. Maybe we get one real cinematic, or not even cinematic, but we get one real thing, kind of like it happened at the end of the port, but we get something bigger, to where like a big revelation or something. I don't know. It didn't feel like a proper ending. It would just be nice to have when all of it's said and done, say if you're playing in commander mode, not my hypothetical sandbox mode, it has a solid ending. You feel like you beat the game. Let's add that in there. And next, more gear. So I told you earlier, this game would just benefit from more. So balaclavas, guns, etc. There's a lot of stuff in this game that I'm sure you guys are like, hey, it'd be cool to have this, and it's not in there. Whatever that is, that should be in there. So, whether they do it through DLC, I know they're adding new guns and missions and stuff, and I love it, but just give us more stuff. I know that's a lot to ask for, but imagine you could restrict your gear slots in Commander, and in this hypothetical sandbox mode, you could make it however much you want without needing mods. It would be cool. You could set the rules in your sandbox mode. That would be really cool. So next, add more points of entry and make them selectable after you see the dang map. So it drove me nuts the first time. I forget which mission it was, but you get to choose between a residential area or the fire exit for your point of approach. And after you click that, you're locked in. You can't change it, at least to my knowledge. But I didn't even have a chance to look at the map yet or hear the briefing or anything, So let's turn that around. Let's fix that. And let's add more points of entry to every single map. Maybe 3, or just whatever works. Just give us more points of entry. If I want to approach the 4U gas station from the complete opposite direction, who's to say no? Come on, more, and it would help a lot with multiplayer, I think, especially on more vertical maps, having different points of entry, especially if they do add back in being able to change up the mission type. I mean, really, the possibilities are endless once you add just a couple of variables like that. You add a lot more replayability to your game at that point. So yes, more points of entry, please. All right, next, let's talk about the friendly AI. Let's fix it up a bit and maybe even add the ability in some maps to control more men. Now, and I know some people have said that before and everyone's like, not until they fix the AI is crap. And honestly, they're not completely wrong. I've played through it and I don't think it's too bad. Like if I tell a dude to do something, they'll generally do it. Sometimes they don't. And it drives me nuts because it's gotten us all killed before. You can select individual guys, tell them, hey, turn around, get in this corner here and watch that. Your only job is watching that corner in case we get flanked. And then the doofus, I don't know what he's doing. He turns around or something. Before you know it, there's a guy behind you with an AK-47 and he kills all of you. So it would be nice if they followed orders. Some people do like that they kind of do their own thing and they say like, oh, it's like real life where people kind of do their own thing. But I think in this setting with all that training, with them working under Judge, if Judge tells them, hey, look down this hall and don't move, they're going to look down the hall, aim their weapon and not freaking move. So let's get rid of the mind of their own aspect there. And also the amount of times they ask me, can you move? That's like, dude, I gave you the order and I'm the one moving around. You move around me. You make it work. Right now, the way they play, I don't think having more people or more officers would really help. It would just kind of make the game pretty bad or just make the game very cumbersome. But eventually, it'd be nice, especially in like Grease Palms, especially if you're up in the difficulty, to have more. And maybe you could tell like, hey, you AI unit, you come at it from this direction. I'll come at it from this direction. And you could coordinate stuff like that in the command room before you even get on scene. I think that would be so freaking cool, and before you know it, maybe you're seeing actual to scale, full blown SWAT teams doing all the cool things that, you would expect to see in a game like this, and of course not for every mission. Some missions, the 4-man thing I think works, or maybe do add it for all missions. At the end of the day, I feel like this is a sandbox game that would benefit from just having more options. All right, and for the last thing, let's see, did I do 10? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yep, this is number 10. All right, so for number 10, better mod integration. It's not like this game is super hard to mod. A lot of the game is literally just dragging pack files into a folder, but it would be, a lot of people who do the multiplayer, I'm surprised it works at all, but they have trouble getting mods to work and communicate with each other. So it'd be nice if either they took some of the best mods like Gunfighter or, even just like Visceral Blood, stuff like that, just brought it into the game, made it like actually part of the game, or made it to where, it was just less clunky. I know that there is mod integration in the game, but it would just be nice if there was less conflicts and everything worked out. I don't know if they're going to add it to consoles and stuff like that, like Bethesda does. I think that would be kind of a nightmare trying to have mods installed on, say, your PS4, your Xbox, whatever Xbox is on now, and then your PC, and then have them all communicate with each other. I don't know how that works. I'm not a game dev, but if they could figure that out, that would be great. It would just be honestly awesome if the game ran as smooth as butter, had all these fixes and changes. And I think if they did it and maybe did one more controversial thing like they did with Elephant, to get all the TikTok views and all that, that brought a wave of players in, and the game had all of these changes and was, because what's there is really good. So if they just fleshed it out more, and by the time people got to the game, it was this big, polished, beautiful, outstanding game, deserving of your time, which I think it currently is, but I mean, deserving of years of your time, then I think that's what would launch this game into like superstardom. And I would love to see that because I love Ready or Not. I love this game. The people who created it have really made something special here. And that's, the only reason I have any of these critiques or want to see any of these changes. I want to see their baby grow up and do even better. I think it's worth it. That's why I'm making videos about it. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Are there things you would like to see? If so, drop them down in the comments below. Otherwise, I make videos kind of whenever I want, however I want. So, you could subscribe. It's kind of a gamble on if you're going to get more from me, but it'd be cool to have you along. I mainly make videos just because I just feel like it. So I do it for fun. Anyways, that's it for me today, guys. If it's daytime, have a great day. If it's nighttime, have a great night. Have a great week. Live long, prosperous, all that crap. And I'll see you in the next video if you're still here. Peace.